us to order at 6:30 p.m. on January 12th. And Chip, will you honor us with the rules of procedure?
I will. Vermont's Open Meeting Law 1 VSA 312H requires that the public be given an opportunity to comment on matters before the board, subject to reasonable rules of order. The Select Board takes comment during each agenda item, giving everyone a chance to be heard as decisions are considered. Time limits will be in place to help manage the discussion, and comments should stick to the item on the floor. There you go. Abbreviated version. How's that?
That's right. That's great, Chip. Stick to the items on the floor.
Stick to the items on the floor.
That's right. Don't slip.
Yes. Don't start going on the floor.
That's right. No tangents.
No.
Thank you so very much. Do we have any changes to the agenda order? No. Okay. And public comments? Okay. Here in the room, any public comments? No? And you out there in Cyberland? Okay, then we'll move right on to the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of 12/8/25. And I will move that we accept the draft minutes as corrected. Thank you very much. Is there any discussion?
Good job.
Yes.
I'm just going to say I was impressed with these minutes.
Yes, and I corrected a few things just to put the icing on the cake. So, Tara, how do you vote on the minutes?
Aye.
Okay, Chip?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
And Sheila?
Aye.
Then I say aye. So we have accepted the minutes. Okay, so now we're moving on to finances. And Tara, I'm counting on you for the warrants.
Yep. I would like to move to accept the warrants as written. Payroll week 12/14/25, $8,769.09. Payroll week 12/21/25, $8,242.44. Payroll week 12/26/25, $502.67. Payroll week 12/28/25, $8,009.69. Payroll week 1/4/26, $8,251.35. Payroll week 1/11/26, $8,726.07. Expense warrant number 2612 for $28,679.48. Expense warrant 2613, $34,581.79. Expense warrant number 2613A, $14,847.87, for a total of $120,610.45.
Thank you so much, Tara. Is there a second?
A second.
Okay, is there any discussion?
Yes. Bear with me. There it is. Okay. So this is broken up because we had a little time off for the holidays. So it's broken up. We have some Decembers and we have some recents. So the most recent, we paid Cargill, which is salt, $8,570.35. We paid DJ's Truck Service and Repair, $510.96 for repairs to the 2016 and 2017 International trucks. Roberts Energy is $2,406.76 for diesel fuel. We have our VEMR's, which is quarterly, $5,036.24. Vermont Department of Taxes, our withholding, state taxes, are $1,243.42. Northeast Municipal was $2,708, and that was repairs to the 2020 Ford F-550 one-ton and 2024 Cat Grader. Health equity is $12,775 for pre-funding the 2026 HRA. I asked Erica about this. This is a new company and a new expense. It's important to know that this will be refunded in April. Wyndham Solid Waste was $3,942.68, and that's our quarterly assessment. And then Zaluzny's for sand, $7,560. Now I'm gonna go to December. Blue Cross Blue Shield was $9,795.49. Roberts Energy, heating oil and diesel fuel, $4,784.13. We paid Rory Lincoln $3,515, and that was the total for the cemetery care and services, Wilkins, Carpenter Hill, Lee, and Blanchard cemeteries. BCTV was $1,425. That is for Conservation Beach Leave Disease Program and for the fiscal year 26 contract amount for all the select board meetings. DJ's truck service, $1,226.55. Total repairs for the 2020 F550 1-ton and 2017 International and 2019 loader. Power plan, $994.85. Total for the 2019 John Deere 524 loader. And then lastly, $1,500 to Mudgett, Jennett, and Krog for the professional audit.
Thank you. Thank you, Tara, and thank you, Erica, and thank you, Ellie. Okay, are we ready to vote on the warrants?
Can I make one
Yeah.
correction to what Tara said? The health equity, yes, it is the pre-funding that they took. They have that for the whole year, and then the following April, they refund any money that's left for 2026, and they pre-fund the next year. I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Did people understand that?
Yes.
I sort of do too. Okay. So, Sheila, how do you vote on
Aye.
the warrants? Mike?
Aye.
Chip?
Aye.
And Tara?
Aye.
And I say aye. So we have approved the warrants.
I have a question.
Yeah.
The budget status reports. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Ellie, I have a question for you about the budget status report.
Do you want to cover that during?
The town
Oh,
treasurer?
yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Thank you. I can
that
wait.
was,
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were going to do that.
oh yeah, no, it was
No
just
problem.
on the agenda in updates and reports. Okay, well, tonight I see on the agenda that Jimmy comes first. So, yeah.
You threw me on. You threw me on.
I know, well, we're just trying to
Take the
mix
chance.
it up here.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's for some
sure.
good TV.
Yeah.
Trying to get this up.
It's been a while. I just want to make one comment to Tara. Again, I've said it before. Some of the repairs are repairs. Every time we get in the truck and go down the road, we pull the lever, a hose blows. You got to go fix it. DJ's has a repair shop right there with a machine to make hydraulic hoses and all that. So those are continuous little. They're not little, but bites at us. Some of the other ones, like the Northeast Municipal, we don't have consumables for those trucks, as I mentioned. So the grader was actually a ditching blade for the spring. So when this is all over in mid-April, we're gonna go reshape all those ditches with that blade. I got a good deal on it. I got the money now, so I grabbed it now, but it's going on the rack until it goes under repair because it gets assigned to that vehicle. So they're not all repairs, and the 1-ton in that case was a new plow blade. They last a couple of years. This one's not quite worn out, but by the end of this year, and so same thing. A lot of them are repairs, but
Well,
and so
it's
in the fall we
really
went through with
interesting.
tires and chains.
Mhm.
Those aren't really repairs. That's the category
Yeah.
that we
Mhm.
put them in.
Great,
So
thanks.
just wanted to mention that. So it's been such a while ago. I don't know if we talked about the well being
Oh,
redug and fixed, because I think it was mid-December by the time they got it done. And they hit a gusher. So we went from it's not oil, but from 3 gallons a minute approximately to 25. So we will never run out of water again. And as I said, the pump burned out about 3 weeks before you guys approved this project. So we're gonna have to buy that anyway. So we went ahead and bought the bigger pump for the deeper well and the heavier electric wire and all that stuff. So they pulled it up, reused, added wire. So that would have been half the expense anyway. So we actually, the timing was great for that. And that's all original stuff since the building was put in. So
wow.
So I'm
sometimes
sorry, the original stuff, you replaced the pump.
The pump.
And the wiring, okay.
and dug the well deeper.
Yep.
And the deeper well would require heavier
Right.
switch box and all
Yeah.
that stuff. So we didn't have to do that in 2 separate bites.
Uh-huh.
So
Well, that's really exciting that you've got so much water.
well, in a way, the school actually probably needs some, but
You mean the one well services the town garage and the school?
no, but their well, they have a 4,000 gallon holding tank up there
Oh, I
because
see.
their well's not super.
I see.
I have extra now. I don't know,
Well,
pump it up there, but.
good to know.
So, anyway, that's one problem gone for,
Terrific.
the radios we mentioned, that was a
Oh,
long
the
time ago.
radios.
So I did a little research on that and, got a hold of, one of our local citizens, Paul Beebe, works for
Right.
DOT. So he came down and explained, what's going on, why state police and state workers get such good reception. And it turns out, they're repeaters. He has 3, and they bounce off Streeter Hill in New Hampshire, Mount Ascutney, and Mount Snow.
Oh, my goodness.
So they're so high,
Right.
and they're also triangulated together. And he also does UHF, VHF, and digital. We have digital. We have a repeater up on Sweet Pond Road. So his equipment in his truck is about 25 grand. And when I called him to come see me, he was in Wilmington, and he actually hit a dead spot. But he knows who calls, even with all that. So it turns out that geography, right here on Bennett Road, if I hit the digital, it gives you a weird sound. That means it didn't hit the repeater. So geography, even for them, it's just, they're so high,
Mm.
they catch a lot more. So as far as us, that would mean you would need more repeaters, basically. Maybe one on the top of East Mountain and all that, and I don't know. This is preliminary if we want to go down that road, but geography is geography even for
Yeah.
them. And the cost, we probably have less than $2 grand in each truck. So preliminary findings, I don't know if we're gonna go, down that kind of road, but I still was gonna talk to the state radio people and see if there's some way we could get tied into their
Right.
repeaters, because, so apparently the higher you go, if you
Right.
catch the signal. So right now, since R&R came this fall and like rebooted our repeater, we are now getting better reception than we have since they put it in. But I figured out we get mountain to mountain, East Mountain to the top of Stage Road. We'll get Stage Road to the river, but we don't get valley to valley. So we don't get Route 5 to the Hollow Road. We don't get the Hollow Road to the River Road. But it is better than. And Veranda mentioned, because we had a new employee complete his 90-day review, and he was nervous about
Yeah.
not having
Right.
connection, either cell phone or radio. And Veranda's initial thing was, well, maybe he needs to meet some people and be able to knock on a door. Well, with the findings I have, I'm like, actually, Danny rode me around my first winter and said, 24/7, you can knock on that door.
Uh-huh.
And we rode around town showing me the roads and pointed out, so that won't help emergency management,
No.
but it may help the town, there may be that kind of community effort. Bob's meeting more people every day, so
Yeah.
there's certain people on certain roads that you can, and they know it, they've told
Yes,
us
of
any time
course.
of day or night.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Sure.
so-
Did you want to say something? You looked as
I
if
have a
you
question, that's
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No.
No, I think that we really want to support the highway department in having safe connectivity and, the combination of telling people, that, to answer the door if it's the road crew, that's a small part of it. But, if we can figure out ways to solve the problem, I think it's our responsibility to keep our highway department safe.
Right, and my initial thing was geography
Is
and losing,
destiny.
in losing, the state police basically
Yeah.
equal responsibilities. On his call down from Wilmington to here, told me that we're just in a rough spot. New Hampshire and Vermont, the phone everybody's told me that cell phone and all that, we're two of the
Yeah.
roughest states in the country, so.
So my question relates to coordinating what you found with the emergency management team and the
Right.
fire department, because there's
Right.
all that stuff going on together. Have you,
I have
Dan
not,
Engel
no,
talked about this?
I have not,
Because I know it's a big issue with how the
But
emergency volunteer,
right, and I
Fire
plan
managers
to,
work.
and that geography, the fire department's talked
Yeah.
about another
We-
repeater,
yeah.
and that would make sense, and,
Yeah.
instead of Mount Snow and Ascutney and that,
Yeah.
maybe more, but obviously that's gonna add
right,
to the cost of progress.
Yeah.
So, it may take several repeaters higher, but, I'd still like to talk to the state lady, cause I don't know if there's a way a town can tie in. I don't have that much info, to be honest with
I
you.
just know that, Ellie, you can help me here. Dan and the
Daniel
Guilford
and-
Volunteer Fire Department are working
Yes.
to make sure that everybody can communicate.
Yes,
And that the radio systems are linked at least, right?
There's been a lot of expense on phones and radios.
Yeah.
Some work and some don't.
Right.
And, so.
And we
and
keep
I think
forgetting
they've
geography.
gone- Yeah, geography is something they've discovered also.
Yeah.
But it would be worthwhile, Jim, to probably touch base with them, because I bet you they've had a lot of conversation with
Yep.
the folks you're also talking to. Not to say that more conversation isn't good, but
No.
oh yeah, it's
Just
definitely,
doing it together, I think, is really productive for the whole town.
Yeah, and if there is, maybe emergency management could be another funding stream that could help to support both the highway department and the emergency management volunteers.
yeah, so we have met several times, the three of us, and it basically went like this, what are you gonna do to fix the rough spots we have? And my response was, I was waiting for you to, and then I'll copy. And so, this is news to them, but
Yeah.
Mike had asked me specifically to try to find out some more information, so.
No, I remember that,
Appreciate
and
you doing
that's,
that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, so all I'm saying is to be continued,
Yeah.
like that others, people who want to be involved in this, who aren't busy keeping the roads clear, can, do some intelligence about what could help the situation.
Other than what Bob mentioned to us in our conversation,
Mhm.
are other people on your crew expressing concern?
About being stranded, you mean?
Yeah, about this communication issue. I mean, is it something that's really like gonna bubble up here and become a
No,
major
because
issue for us?
it's been this way.
Okay.
And like I said, it's better now than it has been. If you just know that your limitations, you got to get to a high spot.
Right,
Sometimes we lose each other for an hour. And then, so we're always looking for each other. Like if time goes by and I don't hear from them, I call the other guys, even if I can't talk to all
Yeah.
of them, has somebody heard from Bob in the last, otherwise I'll go look for them. And so that somebody's not sitting out there.
mhm,
And it's just been a way of life for me, so I don't even
All
think
right.
about it.
All right.
Yeah.
Steve is.
Yep.
do you have
I just
anything?
want to add that Mike Kachuk is the communication person for the radios between the fire department and the EMC group, so.
That's the third member of,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, so that's,
Dan and I and him have chatted
Okay.
several
all right.
times. We don't have a good answer for you.
So Dave, did you want to add to that?
I just wanted to ask whether the state police or any state agencies or other agencies that need to be in communication have the same problem when they're on Weatherhead Hollow or in these valleys getting out to their people.
Yes, well, Paul Beebe's DOT, so he has the exact same, he lives down here
Uh-huh.
on the Center Road, and he's DOT, he has the exact same equipment as the state police.
So I'm just
So,
saying, is
yeah.
there a
Yes.
state funding to beef up their responsibilities when they're in the town?
Yes, they've thrown a lot more money at it, is what I've found so far. And not that I spent a lot of time on this, but basically that truck needs a straight signal to that repeater.
Well, what I'm saying is if they're in our valleys and they can't talk to their people without, if they can get to their repeaters, it's all on them anyway. But if they are stuck in our valleys and they can't talk, then they have a responsibility, I would think, to help fund some lower down repeaters so that they can talk when they're on Route 5 or Weatherhead Hollow, or talk between, Weatherhead Hollow and because if what I heard you right,
Yeah.
it's dead to them too if they're in our valleys.
Well, I think that, rather than have.
Okay, I was putting that out as another.
No, I
potential
think
funding
that
source.
all of this is really important and that the minutes should reflect that we need to get this connectivity as close to connected as we possibly can within the limits of our budgets and look for more ways to acquire funding to go beyond that. But we really can't go into it too much more tonight. So was there more that you wanted to tell us about?
No, just the rain in the winter, which I've
I know.
talked about. We've had 5 rain events this year. 2 in a year would be a lot, and it's far from over. So bear with us. For it to rain for 7 hours and then drop 30 degrees is absolutely the reverse of hitting the lottery for weather. So we've used a lot of salt and a lot of sand,
Yeah.
and that ice is there. You can't get rid of it.
Right.
So if it rains for 15 minutes or snows a couple inches, it'll be slippery again. So all we
Yeah.
can do is combat it.
That's right.
No, I will wrap me up.
No, that's great. So, everybody to walk. Oh, Ellie.
And I said this to Jim this morning, I really appreciate the road crew. I've seen these guys out in the past few days with the rain, like in the middle of the night, first thing in the morning.
Right.
3 o'clock in the morning.
Yep. And I was just saying to Jim, remember to sleep. So, I really appreciate the work that they're doing.
Yeah.
Completely, really, everybody needs to have their micro spikes if they're going out their front door and to thank the road crew when they come by, because it's amazing that we're able to continue to get around. So please convey, or, maybe you can just let us know what the favorite treats are of the people in the town garage, and people can start delivering them.
Well, we almost got a lunch last Wednesday, but weather got in front of it.
Oh, no.
Oh my gosh.
It's fine, but thank you. Appreciate it, and I'll tell them.
Nice work.
We all set?
Really, thanks so much.
Thank
Well, that was a really exciting report. Okay, so Erica, you're next.
Oh, I didn't do too much. I'm gonna start and go backwards. Today was the deadline for petitioned articles for town meeting. We didn't get any. The candidate deadline is not yet. I think that's the 28th. Our deadlines are a little bit different than the state's because of our town meeting being 3 days earlier. But today was the deadline for the articles. So that has passed. I met this morning with Mark Anderson to talk about his regional policing plan and how it's going. He tells me that there is a bill at the legislature, and it's just about like at the part of the process where it gets a number and starts going through for real. He estimates that process is going to involve a lot of changes and edits and lawyers, and but estimation that will be ready, to go live in 2028. So to be voted on at town meeting in 2028. Speaking of town meeting, along with that goes the town report. We've had a real group effort to get the report together. Everybody in the town office is working, and all 3 auditors are working really diligently to get all the reports that we need and everything organized and proofread, and everybody's doing a great job. And we still need photos. If anybody has any beautiful photos of Guilford from the past year, please send them along. I have some good news that a few people in this room had a hand in creating. There was a car in Green River on the side of the road for over a year, and lots of people asked about it, and finally we worked with the owner and they moved it this weekend, and I think that's a really great safety improvement for the road crew, for their plowing. So thank you everybody who had a hand in that, and to the owners of that vehicle. Okay, so I've been working with the town's attorney a little bit for the policy updates on tonight's agenda. It's always a pleasure. Some more news. The Guilford Guide is very close to publication, and I've been just in the last stages of coordinating printing and mailing, and I think we're very, very close to having that be complete. I have a heads up for the select board. Green Mountain Power called me last week, and they are going to come back and propose a new project somewhere in Guilford. I don't know any more details. They said they would send me the project plans as soon as they could, but they asked to be on the agenda for the next meeting, so it's a little preview. Going back in time, we finished all the budget workshops. Ellie and I are working on entering all those numbers into NEMRIC so that there's no human error involved in at least the calculation part. And that will be presented to the select board at the next meeting on the 26th. I want to remind everybody that Wyndham Solid Waste is continuing their compost project over at the school. Now is the time for participants to start paying. There's info at the compost station and at the town office if you're interested. I think it's a great program because I don't want to fill my car with food waste and take it all the way to Brattleboro. And Ellie and I finished the Vermont Local Government Institute. It was a great experience, and our cohort continues to be in touch. I'm still in touch with several of the people, so it's been a really, really educational process and really great connections made, so.
Could I just ask a quick question about that?
Yeah.
Do you think that some of the connections that you made there will really carry on in terms of being able to help each other out with common problems?
Yeah, I think so.
Great.
Yeah, somebody set up a town administrators group
Wow.
meetup.
Support group.
Yeah, exactly,
Great.
yes, and there's a lot of that, a lot of kvetch sessions, and but that's, that's part of what we need,
Mhm.
so.
Terrific.
Yeah, really good connections, and that's my report.
Great. Well, thank you so much. It's a lot, as usual. You can say, start from the ending, but it was a long way to get there. So we appreciate it. Okay, next we have Ellie. Ellie, you want to come on up here to
Sure.
our table?
Okay, so I can say a little bit about what I've been doing. First, I don't know if anybody, looks like everybody took whatever it is, so here's a treasurer's report for you.
Oh, great. Do you have one?
Explain.
So the very first part is just bank balances, because I was asked to do that on a quarterly basis. You can look at the numbers. Basically, you've got the first column is just something to signify the account number. Balance is the second column as of December 31st, which the overall total for all the funds is $4,442,001.86. The third column just shows what those funds are, and then the actual fund numbers, so you get a sense. So the general, the first one I'm just going to say is the general fund and the sweep account, and it includes all those funds that are listed to the right. Any questions about that?
What is a sweep account?
So what we have is money comes into one account, and then it maxes out at $12,000, and anything over that amount gets taken out of that account and goes into a separate account. It's just called the sweep account.
Oh, okay.
And that's where the interest is generated. That's where the majority of the funds are, and those, I believe, with our agreement with the bank, those are pooled with other banks.
Mm-hmm.
And that's,
Thank you.
there's some collateral, I can't remember the term right off the top of my head, but maybe collateral investments with that.
I think this is really clearly stated and very informative. Thank you.
The second thing I wanted to jump into was the budget status report, with just the first reminder that when you look at the 003, the general budget status report, the first three numbers in the first column under budget, those three are added together to compare against that 900,000 actual figure. Okay, so those first three figures right there total 1,226,496. So, and that compares to the 959,253. So basically, we're at 78% of that income level. Just wanted to start off, I forgot. So we're in week 29 out of 52. So generally about 56% through the budget. I just want to confirm that I still haven't been able to get back to looking at the delinquent tax fees and how they are posted in here, because they should be zeroed out with the money that came in from the delinquent taxes. So I have to go back and research that. I think the rest of the revenue on the first page is pretty self-explanatory, unless someone has questions.
Sorry, I have one quick question. So you said we've received about 78%
We're looking up at the top
of the
here.
budgeted amount?
Yeah.
Of the proposed, of what we thought we would get for revenue, 78%?
No, I'm just, this figure only, these three lines together.
Yeah.
As compared to that
Yes.
number. Okay, so that is 78% of that.
Are
Does that
we,
make sense?
right, so but if we're looking at all the revenues before you go to.
All the revenues, I should have figured out that number, the 80%.
No, that's not
is
even my
correct.
question. I was like, so we're at 78% of revenues collected, more or less. And I see that we've gotten 94% of our state funds
Where are you?
on the budget status report.
State funds.
So current use and payment in lieu of taxes
Oh, down
programs.
there, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering are we looking at more or less an approximate, are we expecting that we will generate a lot more revenue or not this year?
A lot more revenue.
Yeah, this is we've basically received the major revenue.
Well, as we know,
from-
delinquent taxes don't go against this year.
Yeah,
We should be getting at least $9,000 to $10,000 a month from that.
mhm,
I do know we should expect relatively soon at least one estate to be settled, which will probably bring in $70,000 at least.
Mhm.
So,
okay, I'm curious.
yeah. So I don't know exactly,
I'm
but
just,
that's why
roughly, 'cause we're at half.
trying to keep track of this more closely.
Yep.
On the second page, I just want to point out that the interest to date is at 33,000 plus for the account. While I was reviewing the budget status report, I was looking at the FICA Medi line item, which is down under Select Board. What you're looking at is the revised version, but I did notice that there seemed to be higher amount of FICA and Medi under Select Board and less under Highway.
Mhm.
And it turned out to be a posting error, so I was glad I saw that and corrected it, so,
Yep.
it said, it'll, going forward, it'll be correct.
Okay.
Overall, Select Board spending is, not even at 50% at
Yeah.
this point.
Got it.
Most other stuff is pretty self-explanatory, there's a lot of
Yeah, I didn't have any
one-year
other questions on
items.
the budget report. I thought it
Okay,
was
for
on the budget
003.
status report, just the revenue side.
For the highway, again, the FICA Medi was corrected, and the overall expenses, in the section that says highway expenses is about 31%.
Yep.
If we go to the final line of the highway, we're generally at 56% of the annual budget at this point.
Mhm.
So I think it's looking good.
Yep.
Any questions on that?
Could you take one from the audience?
Sure.
Um,
Can I, Select Board?
Yeah, sure.
Is the 78% of revenue a typical figure for this time? These are things that somebody pays, instead of paying monthly, they pay all 12 months or something. So that's why the 78% of revenue is in, and only 31% of highway, and only 49% of general or something else. So is it typical to have?
I don't know if I know the answer to that.
Okay. So I think what's important is to get some kind of, when you have a 78% of revenue in, some kind of projected expense for the rest of the year to go against it. So we get 78% of our in, we've spent 49% of our We know we've spent 49% up to this point, or 31%, and it looks like we'll have another XYZ for the following 6 months. So is that possible to just sort of, not tonight, but I mean.
Not right at this moment,
No,
but
no, no, I don't mean tonight.
generally, if I look at the expenses for, just the expenses, which one am I looking at? I'm looking at 003. The expenses are at about 50, also about 56% overall.
So I think,
So yeah, I can't answer that question.
I think that where you and I are coming from is the impact of the mistake in the taxes to be raised, and how are we going to deal with that? And the reason we're being so careful and looking at revenues and expenses and ways to plan for the potential shortfall is reflected in this discussion and ongoing discussions and ongoing observations and planning.
In 2 or 3 years, you'll be able to say, this is typical for us to have 78%, and now 59%, add another 33%, so we're about, 68% of expenses up against 78%. So you'll be able to say this is tracking like all these other years have tracked.
I would hope so,
We
yeah.
just want to avoid that we don't get to the end of the year again and say, whoops, look, there's $189,000 we didn't count.
So that is
That
the
is exactly
specific
what we're
plan.
looking
That's why
for.
we're having these discussions
That's why
now.
I'm having this discussion.
Yeah.
And this discussion has been going on since September.
Okay,
That's a good point. Can I move away from budget status
yeah,
for right now? Okay. Calendar year end. So on Thursday, the 6th, which was last Thursday, Darlene from Nemrick came and did an on-site work with me, helping me to close the calendar year end, do the payroll reconciliation for Beamer state and federal taxes, and do the online W-2s, 1099s with the IRS. All that took about 4 hours, and it was so worth having her there to make sure that we looked at everything that needed to be looked at, and were able to go through the online process and upload all the reports that we needed to upload. So I'm very appreciative of Darlene coming in. In terms of delinquent tax, instead of giving you a big printout with the delinquent tax report, I decided to just provide a summary of the information. So as of January 9th, we have 56 delinquent taxpayers with balances due for 2025 taxes totaling $214,000, I'm going to just round these numbers, $214,040. 26 of those delinquent taxpayers also have balances from 2024, totaling $93,870. 12 also have balances from 2023, totaling $44,192. And 10 have balances earlier than 2023, totaling $90,000, almost $91,000. So the grand total for the delinquent taxes right now is $443,075. Out of the 56 delinquencies, 16 taxpayers have agreements in place and are making payments. These payments should bring in $9,070 a month. Some of them need to be revised, need to have revised agreements because now they've also added their 25 taxes that are delinquent. 40 of the delinquent 56 are without an agreement. So that's one of the things I'll be working on next, is not only do they get delinquent tax notices every month, but I will again start trying to contact folks and get them to sign agreements. And just a general reminder that tax payments, delinquent tax payments are due by the 25th of each month in order to be considered on time. Consistent and timely payments are necessary components to avoiding a tax sale. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
$443,000
Yes.
of delinquent taxes. If we had those taxes, we would not be at 78% of revenues. I mean, this responsibility for the revenue shortfall lies in part with people who don't pay their taxes, but still get the benefits of town services.
I could say more about all that,
Yeah.
but I'm not gonna go there right now. The next thing I want to talk about is, I think, pretty exciting, which is a partnership with SEVCA, between the town of Guilford, SEVCA, which is Southeastern Vermont Community Action, and VITA, which is Vermont Income Tax Assistance, and BVCC. So I spoke with Emily Strasser from SEVCA and VITA, and they are going to be providing 2 workshops regarding homestead forms, like how to fill them out, what they look like. They will actually even help you fill them out or do it for you if you give them information. But they're going to come to the town office on January 20th and do 2 workshops to help people understand not only the homestead declaration, but renter's rebate and just generally tax forms. Then on February 13th, which is a Friday, they are offering individual time or appointments with folks who would like additional help, who want to have help getting their income tax done. And they're going to be doing that at BBCC. They're going to set up appointments between 3 and 7, and they'll have multiple folks there to be able to help people with their taxes. So in order to sign up for the appointment, folks need to check out the SEVCA website, or call Emily or call me and I'll give them the information. And I also heard they were doing an additional individual appointments on January 27th. That's more for many towns. So the event on February 13th is just for Guilford residents. So regardless, if you want help, it's there. People can call them and set up appointments, or they can come here on the 20th at the town office and just get more information. So I was pretty happy about having a hand in setting that up. And there's flyers out in the back on the chair if people want them, and there's some on the table also.
It's such it's so satisfying to think that, they're one of the social services that we support, and this gift to the town, or this partnership with the town, is so exciting, and I hope that the people who need it will be able to sort of learn about it, remember it, and come, because it's really great.
And again, they'll even do the forms, file the forms for you, show you how to do it online, show you how to check up on it to make sure that it's gone through, get onto the computer and check in with the state website. So I think it'll be a valuable service to many people.
And thanks to your effort, Ellen, in getting this set up.
Sure. I might.
Really
Did
great.
they approach you, or did you approach them, or?
They sent a flyer, and I was like, I know that for years, people have been coming in and talking about the homestead negotiations and stuff, and I just thought it'd be a good thing to have somebody who really knows all about it to come in and help out.
It's great.
Almost done. Annual report, as Erica mentioned, we've been working on that. I still have quite a few to do. Somebody got my copy of my report. Does anybody have my notes on the back? No. Okay. Oh, maybe it's here. Here it is. So, quarterly reports, VMers, VTAX have been done, federal tax has been done, W-2s and 1099s were mailed out today or handed to some of you. Still have U.S. Census regarding delinquent taxes, Department of Labor quarterly report. The review of all the contracts that we have is also something that's coming up. Also wanted to note the next Algiers Fire District meeting is Wednesday of this week at 6 o'clock here at the town office. Erica and I had a good conversation this morning with Dan Tyler of Brattleboro Department of Public Works regarding the water line maintenance and water rates, and those are things that will be coming up at a future select board meeting. And the big project this past week has been working on what is qualified overtime that can be deducted from income taxes for those who have qualified overtime. So for the folks that do, in the W-2 that was sent out today, there is an explanation of what the qualified overtime is and a report printed out from our payroll system about what your qualified overtime is. So I think I've talked long enough.
Really impressive. Really impressive, Ellie.
Nice job.
Dave,
Really.
Miranda, Dave has a question.
Oh.
I just wanted to kudos for Ellie for bringing in the tax stuff. Actually was just talking to a volunteer, I think he's from Vita, that does these and has been doing it for 4 years, and he was just talking about how much training they go through and how much rigor that goes into the process and how much effort it takes, and he's a volunteer for him. So coincidentally, you know, I think it's a good program, and kudos to you for helping bring it to Guilford.
I know.
Yeah.
I also have compliments about working with you from somebody who's involved in one of the delinquent tax issues in town and just said, you've been so very helpful. And
No, it's good to hear.
it's, well, and it's good to say it out in front of your neighbors, you know. Just a reminder that how you do these things matters so very much because it's all very stressful.
There's enough stress in the world right now. Here you are.
Yes, indeed. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Ellie. So now we get to hear from the Guilford Free Library trustees. Have we got some trustees here? Oh, there we have
Here,
Amber. And great,
This is John here also.
great, welcome.
Yep, and we have Judith is here
So I
for support as well. So we've got two parts. I'm going to share a little bit about what's been happening in the library since the last time, and then the trustees are also going to be sharing what they've been working on. So is it okay if I share my screen? I have some pictures I'd love to show.
I'm sure it's possible.
Let's see, do I have to do something? Oh, yes, I can just allow.
Okay, can you see that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great. So we keep monthly statistics at the library that are then reported in the annual public library report, which I'm working on filling out right now. So we keep a lot of statistics. And that's why I share them, because when you keep them, you want to make sure the effort is totally worth it. So here's some things that happened in December. So we had 260 physical visits inside the library, 116 attended programs and outreach events. And for our circulation, we circulated, for all materials, we circulated 564, of which 376 are print books, 168 are e-books and e-audiobooks, and then the rest are things that you might not know the library has that I'd want to tell you about, like puzzles and games. museum and park passes. And right now, thinking of winter, we have snowshoes for kids and adults. And we have skis. We're helping to circulate this kids cross-country skis that the Recreation Commission has. Those can be picked up anytime the library is open. And we also have some free passes for ice skating at the Memorial Park rink.
Wow.
You can get free admission for 2, and that includes skate rentals. So we encourage you to come in and check out some of those things. Just to show you some of what's going on in these pictures, we had another great poetry and sound after school program run by Matt Valentine, our school age and camp coordinator. And in this first picture, you'll see that the kids are using library materials and things that Matt brought in to do some recording. They made some buttons together, and then they did this crazy fun group picture. I hope you'll see the next, the Guilford Gazette that's coming out has an article that Matt wrote about what happened in that program, so you could hear more about it. And then one thing that I do every week as I go, as if I can, I go to Guilford Central School and I read and sing with the pre-K and kindergarten classes. And this picture here and the one below is we were lucky on October 31st that the kindergartners walked from the school to the library, and we got to sit together on our new big circle rugs and read several stories, more than I'd planned because they asked for more. They were so great. And we sang a lot of songs, and it was a really fun adventure for them. Turns out it's just kind of the perfect distance for them to have a nice adventure. And then a couple pictures of games. We have this community puzzle going on, and one that we finished recently was of sheep. And everyone's currently working on this one in the background of lots of different kinds of chickens. And then some puzzles and games that we have to check out. And then a happy library patron about to check out a book that he's very excited about. Then the other thing I wanted to show, let's see, did that change?
Yes.
I wanted to invite you all to our second annual Rapid Reviews, which is a 1-minute book review session. We have 5 folks, 2 kids and 2 adults from Guilford, that will be recommending about 6 to 8 books each. They'll get 1 minute to give you a recommendation, and they'll be timed. And we'll go through them as quickly as we can. It's super fun just to see what your friends and neighbors are reading and suggest for you to read. The books will all be available for library patrons to check out at the event, so you don't have to wait to get it. And I'm very thankful to say that our friends of the library are providing cookies for us to enjoy afterwards. So we hope to see you there. It's Saturday, February 7th from 2 to 3. And I can stop sharing so you can see John and Judith again. Hello. So I guess if anyone has questions at the end, they can offer them to us all, but I'll let John and Judith talk.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna just talk a little bit about things that the trustees have been working on. And first off, I would like to say a big thank you to everybody that contributed to our annual appeal, the year-end appeal, and it's our biggest fundraiser, and helps allow us to do all these things that Amber's talking about. So thank you so much, everybody who contributed. And I have, I'm the current treasurer on the board of trustees, and through that role, I've been working with Amber and meeting with Ellie and Erica in the town office to work on setting up a new library fund that will track all of the library expenses in one place, which should help provide clarity around everything library related, to just have it all be in one place. And so it will be a fund, hopefully like somewhat similar to funds for the for other commissions like the Planning Commission or Conservation Commission or so on, but it'll probably be a little bit more complex because we have a more complex financial situation. So I just wanted to give you a heads up about that. And as we get closer to creating that, we will be coming to the select board with more details.
Thank you, John.
We also, in our future planning, we do a 5-year strategic plan, and the current one that we are operating under goes through 2026. And so throughout this year, we will be working on creating the next 5-year plan. And so that's a big project for the trustees for this year that we'll be starting on, I believe, even starting to talk about at our next meeting. So, and that just helps us map out 5 years of planning around the building and around programming and not like what kinds of programs exactly, but just trying to set goals for how we want the library to serve the community. So we had another library patron survey that we did in December. And so we have information from that, from feedback from people, and we're always open to more feedback. So if anybody wants to ever reach out and let us know what they would like the library to do for them or for other people in the community, we'd love to hear about that. And then we try to incorporate that into our planning. And then we create the strategic plan to try to keep ourselves on track, basically. And so that throughout the 5 years, we can refer back to it to say, are we meeting our goals or not? And we make adjustments as we go. And then every 5 years, we do a wholesale new plan.
Great.
And a major part of that plan will be, and part of our current one that we're still working on is and you've heard this before, our ADA issues that we have here, accessibility issues at the library. And so there are a few smaller projects that are going to probably be worked on in a near-term sense, and then there are like longer-term, bigger projects that we're looking at. So those are just some of the things that the trustees have been discussing or will be discussing, and just give you a window into our life, I guess.
Okay, thanks, John. Okay.
We're open to any questions if you want, or.
Okay. Judith, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Just my appreciation for the town and the generosity, financial and in terms of time. It's very special.
Yep. Well, that's great. I think the library is very dear to us. Does anybody have any questions for the library delegation?
No, it's well done.
Steve, is there, will the 5-year plan be public? Are there copies of it that people can pick up?
Did you hear what what Steve said?
Will the plan be public?
Yes.
Yeah, it's part of our, yes, if you stopped by the library, you could get a copy of the plan. Yeah. Yeah, and it'll be discussed in our regular trustee meetings, which are all public meetings, and we post the minutes from them. So what we're discussing will all be part of the public record.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing your report with us, and we all look forward to seeing how things unfold beyond what we already know. So great to see you.
Great. Thank you,
Great.
everyone.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're moving on to new business, and we have the 2026 highway mileage certificate. And this is something that we vote on every year. You'll remember that there was a micro adjustment to the length of road
Yep.
that we have. Did you want to detail that, Erica, before we put forward the motion?
Sure. So every year, the select board approves the certificate of highway mileage and tells V-Trans if there are any changes. Typically, they do know about it, but sometimes they don't. We have to let them know via this form, and that's tied to our state aid to highways. So the length of our different types of roads depends on the funding that we get from the state. They send quarterly funding to class 2 and 3 roads, of which we have 77.433 miles. Last year we had 77.463 miles of road. So that it was a class 3 road that lost 0.03, a third of a mile. It was Fairground Road, and that calculation came from the V-Trans mapping department, and they sent the certificate with a little description of the update, but I did the calculation noting no other changes. That was the only change that the select board approved in the past year. So that's it for 2026.
Okay, so is the proper motion to move to accept the highway mileage certificate?
I think you could even authorize or approve it, yeah.
Oh,
Authorize.
okay. So I will move that we authorize the 2026 highway mileage certificate. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any further conversation? Okay, so Tara, how would you vote?
Aye.
Chip?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Sheila?
Aye.
And Veranda says aye. Okay, so now we're moving on to the public records policy discussion. We're not going to be voting on this, but a lot of work has gone into reviewing and possible revisions to the public record policy. And so we're going to air some of that tonight, and then we'll be voting on it at a future meeting. And so, Erica, did you want to take this up, or Chip?
I will defer to Chip.
Oh, sure.
Okay,
If you don't
Chip.
mind,
Yeah,
Mr. Carter?
absolutely. How deep does everyone want to get into it in terms of?
Well, let's see, we have 10 minutes of discussion. Would you like
I'll just
to?
do, how about an overall rationale and a summary behind that? So,
Yeah, especially in recommended changes, I
yeah,
think.
I'll
And
I'll
why?
touch on a couple of them. Cool.
Yeah.
So our current policy was adopted. It looks new. It was in 2022, but it's actually an older, like 1990s era model of the Public Records Act and the Secretary of State's uniform fee schedule. So it was mostly about paper copies and basic access, and didn't really reflect real world in terms of big electronic record requests, email polls, or what could be like a more detailed cost recovery and process tool, which is outlined in 1 VSA 315 to 320. So why it matters, and I put this in the information packet, but we're updating the framework in the new policy to match the kind of requests we actually get and the tools that the statute now gives us. And it's not that the current policy is wrong or illegal, but it's just that it's incomplete. It just doesn't give us a clear statute anchored way to handle big complex requests without tying up a huge amount of staff time. So I'll just touch on a couple of things. It gives us stronger footing in the statute. The new draft says right up front that it establishes procedures and fee schedules for public records requests. So it gives us something to point to, both for residents and if needed, a judge, which is important, that our procedures and fees actually track the law and that the fees are set in a public process, not ad hoc. It clears some roles and definitions. There's an Appendix A is where all of this really comes together, and it was missing out of the first one that was done back in 2022. Gives us better handling for large and unclear requests, especially email. So if a request is likely to produce 50 or more electronic records, we first have to do a brief initial assessment within the first 30 minutes, which is free always. Then we pause, get written confirmation of the scope, provide a written cost estimate, require prepayment if the estimate is high, and process the request in phases. So I just put down why this matters. Big email and electronic requests are where staff time literally blows up. And Appendix A gives us a transparent statute-based way to manage scope, cost, and workload instead of doing it case by case. Timelines and how far we can stretch them. I touched on that a little bit. Those are actually set in stone. There are some unusual circumstances. For example, having to search and examine like a huge amount of separate and distinct records or needing to consult with other agencies could be worked in to extend the deadlines, but the state is pretty much do the deadlines. Let me see anything else like it. The current policy says it's a policy of the town that all exempt records will be withheld from disclosure, and we changed that around to make the language fit so it doesn't look like we're out of line. There's just a little bunch of tweaks here and there that just really needed to be done. And so in short, I put a summary of our existing policy is based, as I said, on the 1990s model of public records. Doesn't give us the modern statute-aligned procedures that we need, staff time recovery and defensible timelines, exemptions and appeals, and it's all under 1 VSA 315 to 320, so this new draft completely fixes that. So, yeah.
Deep breath.
Deep breath.
Okay, so we have some questions here, Mike.
Sure.
And again, obviously it depends on volume, but it seems like there's a lot of record keeping that could get involved here to keep track of things, to be able to bill properly and charge properly. Is that true? Is that going to be a problem?
No, it's basically in line with what we've been doing. Just sort of, it clarifies and codifies some of it, and
so it's not more than you've been doing. It's just
not really
makes it clearer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Sheila.
So I appreciate Chip's 3.72 minute précis of approximately 372 hours of work on this.
Right.
I mean, if
The
anybody
deep dive.
has ever done a deep dive into a policy, it's Chip. And I am blown away by watching this grow, develop. You think about it through this whole 6 weeks now?
It's been a while, yeah.
Just
Erica was instrumental, and Kristen, and so you as well, everybody here, so it was nice.
But you did the heavy lifting.
Oh, thanks.
And so I have a couple general comments and then a couple specific questions. So, I mean, I already said exemplary research and compilation. And it's complex, ever-changing targets here. So it's not like people just ask for an email or something like that. It's like, Erica brought up once data mining as a
good word.
Getting, using the resources and pulling staff away from their jobs. I think that this reworking of this description provides clarity of purpose and process, and it also the effort to make clear to Guilford the burden of responding to some of the more onerous requests for public information, which limits staff availability, including the treasurer and the town clerk, for doing their normal day-to-day tasks. And I appreciated also the mandate in the policy to review this after a year, to see how it's working for us. Because I think, I mean, that's something we try to do,
Right.
not necessarily on a formal basis all the time, but I think it's really important. I also note that we can't adopt this policy until after we have a public hearing on the fees, right? Is that correct?
Correct,
Correct.
yes, I was gonna say that, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Which can be done in a select board meeting, put it on the agenda as a public hearing. It doesn't have to be a separate public hearing.
So, just to clarify about that, the public hearing would be before or after an official meeting, or we could have an intermission?
No, we could do it during the meeting and
Yeah.
just have it on the agenda as a public meeting.
Oh,
get,
I see.
Public
feedback,
hearing, yeah,
And then,
with
then
open comment.
vote.
So is this different from, several years ago, it used to be we had to have a separately called, warned public hearing, close that out, and then have the select board meeting. So I don't know if this has changed, but that's how we used to have to do it. So
I
I
will
think we need to know that before
look
we,
into that.
I mean, it would be
I've got it
really
here
highly
somewhere, I'll find
efficient
it.
to put it into the meeting, but
Mhm.
we tried that I can't even remember what the situation was, and we had to do the public hearing here.
Sure.
Might have been a town plan or something like that, but, Um,
Yeah.
so I had about the wording of the policy itself, I had a couple questions. Where is this? So, under submission requirements.
Wait, can I just answer your first question?
Oh, yeah,
Because
sure.
I had to do a laptop
question.
search. But so the meeting warning specifically mentions that the board will hold a public hearing on the proposed public records policy and fee schedule under 1 VSA 316E. So that's how we would work, you know.
It's in the policy. I'm saying, does the Vermont statute allow us to have
Yeah,
a public
yes, it
hearing
does. Yes.
internal as an integrated part of the select board meeting?
Yes, I think so. Yes. I've got that on there as it does. So.
Okay.
I'll check.
I don't think it's, I mean, we don't need to answer that question now, we don't need to spend time, but it was just a small thing. Under 3A, submission requirements. So that's, there's no page numbers here, but, let's see what page. So page 2, or page 3, it says, a reasonably specific description of the records sought. And, I don't know if you can define reasonably, or if that
Oh, yeah.
term should be there.
Yeah, good question.
And I also note that in this same section, does anybody ever have to explain why they want the records, or do they just
No.
get them? No explain. Okay,
Definitely not.
that was interesting. And then a little bit further down under B, it says the town is not required to, point 4, answer interrogatories.
Right.
And the dictionary definition of is that that's a formal question or an inquiry. Unless you get into the legal definition of an interrogatory, which is something that you would be using in a deposition or you're required by the court to answer. In effect, this entire policy relates to a formal question or an inquiry. It's our response. So this is public records, public information is according to this definition, an interrogatory. So either we need to eliminate that or explain what it means. That's just,
That was a Kristen thing, but
Kristen didn't say anything about that.
yeah. But I
just-
mean, we could put in what it means, but
But you
Right,
don't,
I understand why
yeah,
it should be included.
yeah,
I mean, we don't, so if you're going to use interrogatories as legally defined
right,
or
right.
in a legal context, then we need to say that in the policy.
Yeah, I agree on that, yeah.
And those were honestly, the only other thing that's not included in the cost estimate is if we do have to consult with our attorney, do we pass on the legal fees for advice on this? Is that possible?
That is not a possibility that I have seen.
Because we sometimes we have to consult. So I think we should
Yeah.
clarify
That's
that.
a good
That's
question.
a good one, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll put that down.
And I'm done.
Interrogatory and legal fees.
I wrote those on the notes are on the document.
Oh, okay, good. I
Check,
won't even,
so
cool, I'll just go back and get it. Nice job, yeah.
That's all.
No, I mean, it just strikes me that back in the 20th century, in dealing with public records requests, the horizon, of public records requests was completely different
Yeah,
from what it is now, both in terms of the scope of information and also probably the intent of the requests. It's a different landscape. And so I really commend everybody's work on this, and the nuances that I was trying to wrap my mind around
Yeah.
were just eye-opening.
it gets deep.
And the distinction between this thing and that thing, and I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah,
So the part of this that requires a public hearing is the fee setting.
Yes.
I think what we should do is put this on the website, the draft, on the website for people to review
Mhm.
ahead
Once
of,
you have those questions answered.
yes, ahead
Oh,
of
that would be
next
a good idea.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, and I just want to say, Chip, that asking 3 questions the only reason I had only 3 questions is because of all the work you did.
oh, thanks,
I
yeah.
mean, amazing.
Oh, thanks.
yeah,
Yeah, nice job.
Oh,
there were
thanks.
other questions that I asked you by email that were
Yes,
also.
good ones, actually, yeah.
Well, I
like
mean,
doing
just-
it, so, it just
Well,
puts
we're
me down.
lucky,
So, I do enjoy it.
Well, stay at it.
Okay. Steve's got a
Okay.
question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead,
Steve
Steve.
Lemke, River Road. I have a question about what is a public document? I could see somebody saying, I'd like to see all the contracts that the town entered into in 2025.
And they did.
Okay, so that's one. Could somebody also say, I want to see every email between all the select board members and the town administrator for a period of 3 years?
Yeah,
And so without concern for the normal workload and things of the staff, then the town has 3 days, if I understand it correctly, to get back to the person and say, we're gonna move on this, or we're gonna do this, or we have to delay, but the delays are then limited. So, I mean, this could tie up a town administration completely. And if that's somebody's intent, then that automatically makes it successful. I don't know how you get them to them or all the rest of it. So, but you're telling me that though any public document like those emails are equal to contracts and everything else.
yes.
So it's just an open field to say, I want to see anything that I can dream up.
But there is in section B of this that you will be seeing, it will be on the town website. There's a section on specificity, narrowing, and large requests. And, and looking at ways to limit.
Right, but if somebody
Let's
doesn't
go.
have to say, if I don't have to say why I want them, right? But I can still make the open-ended request, and you can't say, tell me what you want these for, and we'll help you. So if you can't do that, then it's an open-ended situation for somebody to just window shop without any motivation whatsoever other than to slow things down.
Well,
Yeah.
you can, in the example of your every email between the select board and the town administrator for a number of years, that would be such a large request that I would figure out how many emails that was and then give it a cost estimate to the person. So,
But cost is dollars, and so, but
Yeah.
time is,
Right.
as far as you guys are concerned, time is more important than dollars. If somebody says, I'll pay
True.
whatever the bill is,
Yeah.
you still have to, somebody still has to go and dig this stuff all up and find a way to provide it and have meetings or whatever with the individual who's making the request, right?
And
Ellie, go
there's
ahead.
another piece of that.
I have a question.
Hang on, Tara.
Wait,
Sorry.
That not everything is public, because there are some things that are not public that may be in an email back and forth, so you actually have to go and in that, in
So you
case,
have to
that
redact things too.
you have to read
Okay.
through all those.
But again, all this just gets deeper and deeper and bigger with no control whatsoever unless you say, this is impossible for us to do, so sue us. Take us to Superior Court and we'll talk to a judge about it.
Tara?
Yeah, why can't there be a clause that states if this impedes the daily duties and functions of the staff, then it automatically reverts to the 10-day window? Because it's in there, we'll move it to 10 days if we have to do this extra stuff. But if staff can't do their daily functions, that automatically, puts them behind and creates a situation where our staff needs more time.
Can I say something?
Go ahead, please.
This came up before, that, we need to find a balance between responding to people's requests and making sure that people have the opportunity to get the information they need. We don't want to dissuade people from asking questions where they need to know information. I mean, we want to hear from the public. We want to help give them information, and we want to help, we learn a lot from the public and their comments. So for me, there's trying to find a balance of, what's going to work for everybody. And I know that's
Right.
wishful thinking, but, I want people to be able to come into this office and ask us questions about things that they're concerned about, or, I don't want to be closing doors, but I also know how much we all are trying to get stuff done.
Well,
And there is a lot to get done.
I don't think 10 days is unrealistic for a public records request that's that when they're asking for a lot of information.
So you don't have to deliver the stuff within 10 days. You have to respond to the request within 10 days. Am I correct?
I believe you do have to deliver.
You have to deliver.
Yeah.
But you can, because
But
it's written
You
into
can
the policy.
communicate with the requester
Yeah,
and work out a schedule. Like if it's too much, you can just say,
yeah.
I'm not denying anything, but I would like to do this on this date. Is that acceptable to you? So,
Yeah.
that to have a reasonable exchange, which we
Erica, isn't it written right now 3 days? And then you have to do the research to see how long it's going to take, and then you can reply?
Well, 3 days is the minimum per the statute, and if you think it's too voluminous or something like that, or if you're busy and you can't do it and you're short-staffed, you can just say, I want to claim the 10-day extension.
And then isn't there also language in here about phasing in the response?
It still has to be within 10 days.
Still has to be 10 days, but you can ask there's, under the Vermont statute, you can treat the large request as an unusual circumstance. And so then you could send a written notice that you need extra time, but that extra time is still within the final 10-day window. But what you can do is ask whoever makes the request to narrow the scope or the subject
Right.
or et cetera. And then, but it still has to be within that 10-day window. She's absolutely right. Yeah.
Well, it's also, it's an unintended consequence of the statute.
Yes.
That the statute assumes that we have a social contract, that people make inquiries in good faith. And, the word weaponizing is very popular in public discourse now, often used, I think, incorrectly. But I do feel as if the weaponizing of public records requests, the state statutes don't have any escape clause. to deal with that, and it would be something we would want to talk to our legislators about,
Yeah,
that, to talk to VLCT about,
they should spearhead it.
and because this is something we have faced, not in as great extremity as we could have to face, but it's still, how the temper of the times affects our town. This is a space where I see that, and that's why I bring it up. Yeah.
I think Ellie's point is really valuable, that we
Yes.
want people to come in, we are transparent, we really try to explain things when people ask questions. I've never encountered a time when your door or Uriel's, nobody would answer, It's the occasionally onerous, burdensome request that takes so much time, and I think this policy will allow, and so often we don't even know why they're like, maybe you can figure out that it's data mining or something else, but often we don't know why the more onerous requests coming in. We just have to accede to those requests. We have to fulfill those requests. But this policy also makes it so that the town will I think it says report in the town report every year, how much time we spent.
Yeah.
Or the staff spent on filling these things, which means how much time did they not spend doing
Working.
their job. And that will allow the town as a whole to see the overall burden on staff. And I mean, I know that in the budget workshops, we talked about the possibility of hiring somebody to take
It
over
could eat a lot of
these,
time.
to do the data mining
Yeah.
that people are asking for. We don't need to add somebody, ideally, we don't need to add somebody to the town budget.
Right.
But we also need people to understand what these requests, the impact of these requests. So.
Perfect.
Well, I think that that just putting together our thoughts about where we go from here, beyond this policy, what, I feel confident that we can come up with a good policy for the town.
Yeah.
I also feel as if we need to have a report back to VLCT,
Yes.
to our legislators about the scenario that exists around this, and I think that we can have that as an action to be taken, not immediate, but, within the next 6 months to get back to them, because we're not the only town
Right.
that's dealing with this.
Along the lines though, could we have at least a statement in here that said something like, if the request is such that our existing staff cannot handle it within, whatever, the 10 days, that we will, and we may need to hire people to assist. Something that says we would have the right to do that, to charge for
additional help.
additional help outside of our normal staff. That at least puts some kind of a, let's say, damper on requests that might be unreasonable.
Sort of touched on that where, in the appendix A where you're right, require payment if the estimate is high and process the request in phases. And then, you could do it, for example, 1 month of email at a time. So it doesn't, you can break it up into pieces and parts. So it's not just this flood tsunami of material. So I didn't specify, the actual, I didn't delineate the phases, but we just put that in just like that.
Okay.
Chip, don't you have in there that if it's excessive or voluminous, like Erica said, that they may be charged a rate to pay for staff?
Yes.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So that is that, there's a piece there that says this is going to cost you money if it's going to take us 20 hours.
Yes, it's
Yes.
in section for under A, staff time rates.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we have certainly had a robust conversation about this, and I'm hoping that we can incorporate these concerns into our hearing
Be good.
but thank you so much to everybody for
Yeah, thanks,
really
Erica.
thinking
Thanks,
this
Sheila
through.
and Kristen and you.
No,
and
I mean, it's a
everybody
lot.
jumped in on it. It was cool.
My favorite description now, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Okay, so let's see. Okay, so now we're moving on to old business. And there's the municipal planning grant awarded. And so the action here will be to accept the awarded grant.
Yes.
Okay, well, why don't we put that motion on the table and then we'll have a discussion?
Sure.
Okay,
I move we accept the planning grant agreement,
okay,
municipal planning grant agreement.
okay. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, so now we'll have the conversation. Tara, did you want to
Yes,
start the
yes.
conversation?
I would like to talk about a few things. So we have in our folder, we have 3 pieces of information that I feel would have been really helpful, because when we approved the grant to go through, I really felt like I didn't have a lot of information. And so now in front of me is like the grant application, what was awarded, what it's about. I feel like I was kind of told there's going to be a lot of information given. So the award is $30,000, and it is broken down into this municipal planning application and what the award is. It's broken down into pieces. And so the first part is meetings with Conservation Commission, local organizations, and other stakeholders, which I would like to know who they are. That's $2,000. Second is project kickoff meeting, 10 hours. That's $1,000. Third is public workshops on topic areas, 40 hours, $4,000. So there is $7,000, which is information. Then we go to $18,000, prepare draft zoning bylaws, 180 hours. Next is prepare zoning map, 20 hours, $2,000. Then a public meeting to present draft zoning bylaws, 10 hours. And then planning commission and select board public hearing and adoption, which to me means we're adopting this, 20 hours. So I really feel like I didn't get the information that it was to talk about zoning. And then we have $23,000 that's basically about zoning. And then let's vote on it. Am I wrong here?
Well, what I'd like to do is invite Jeanette to talk about it. And so, Jeanette, you want to come over here
Thank you.
and sort of frame this for us in terms of Tara's concern?
Sure. So in the workflow of how the grant was written, I did all of the narrative work. So everything you read about the 7 or 8 sections or questions, that was all what I wrote with consultation with Wyndham Regional Commission. The budget document was put together by staff at Wyndham Regional, and I owe you an apology that we looked at that together briefly, but I put all of my energies into the actual documentation. So I look at this budget as, and I thank you for pointing this out, it's disappointing that it doesn't reflect the way that we conceive of this process moving forward. So this was put together by one individual at Wyndham Regional with filling in the blanks, basically trying to justify an overall budget. So the reality of this grant is that the Planning Commission owns it and we administer it. So the Wyndham Regional is our consultant in this. So we are not, to the best of my knowledge, there is no mandate that we explicitly go line by what this budget says. I have been in conversation with our Wyndham Regional consultant to say, let's get this process started. Let's map out a plan. They're still doing their allocation of resources for the next quarter or the next year. So I look at that budget and say, to me, that's kind of a placeholder for filling in the blanks, essentially. But how that is written does not reflect how I would foresee the process moving forward.
Who's in charge?
Planning Commission. Planning Commission, with Wyndham Regional as our consultant. And the reason I had, Eric, I think you sent out the municipal planning grant quick tips for public communication, that was the document that I used to be the underpinning of this whole process. So that budget was never intended to be the roadmap that we would follow. That budget was to justify the amount of money we were requesting from the state. So yes, I agree with you. Look at that budget and it seems like it's very top-down, driven by Wyndham Regional. That is not the approach that I would foresee for this process. And I would be disappointed. I don't anticipate that process as outlined in the budget is the one that will follow. Because again, the Planning Commission owns this, and the person who wrote the budget is our consultant.
And so is the Planning Commission, does the Planning Commission already have its own vision and template for how the commission would like to allocate these resources?
So, as you may recall back in March, we had Meg Mott come as a moderator for a discussion.
Yes.
And I've actually been in contact with Meg about working with us again on this process. Because what I liked about her approach was not a expert panel driven community dialogue, but one of which posing questions community. So I'm trying to not have any attachment to a specific outcome. For the purpose of the grant, they're saying we want to write bylaws. I can't tell you at this point that that's actually the best outcome for Guilford. My hope would be, my plan would be to actually ground this in community discussions. So what I would love to see would be community forums, hopefully developing into community work groups who would evaluate different aspects of where, basically like a SWOT analysis, sort of strength, weakness, opportunities, threats, and where there are opportunities or threats, are there both regulatory and non-regulatory methods that can help protect and preserve Guilford. So I don't have it mapped out as well as that budget plan would make it seem, but to me the starting point is sort of a series of questions, more so than trying to present answers.
Do we have to accept, I see what Tara is saying, some of the wording here, I don't like at all, either myself.
I don't disagree with you at all.
I'm the select board's representative on the planning commission, and I was bothered myself with the wording here. Can't we change the wording to fit better what we wanted to say?
Yes, because we own the grant.
No,
Oh, you mean
but
right
we're
now?
asking, yeah.
I think that,
In terms of the budget, the way it's laid out and the wording used,
what I'd like to propose is
Okay.
that, again, we have this budget, and I agree with you, there's language in there that I don't like, and doesn't reflect the values that we are trying to bring this initiative. So what I'd like to do, same for losing my voice, is meet with our consultant, go through this budget,
Have a cough drop.
and rework the language
right,
and the vision, and come back to the select board and say, this, and I will take full responsibility for not being more proactive than the get-go. I was so focused on getting my portion done that I did not go through the budget in as much detail as I wanted. There was a division of labor, and my labor was getting the grant written. My labor was not the budget, so I delegated, in a sense, too much to the person doing the budget, so I apologize for my error. But thank you for the feedback from Select Board, because I agree with you. Thank you.
Is there time sensitivity in
Yes,
terms? There is.
There is. Again, I have to look at the way budgets are done, is that he had to come up with a way of dividing up the hours to justify the award of $30,000. So I guess I'm just a cynic because I've worked with major corporations for so much of my career that there's what people in administration like to put into buckets, and then there's what actually happens. So I would like to go in our first couple of meetings with a consultant, rework the language and the flow to better reflect the planning commission's vision for this process. Because I agree with you that budget does not reflect what, if you read the application, the budget doesn't reflect what my application
Right.
said.
particularly the words adoption process in the last two
Right,
steps
and
of
this
the
is
project.
presuming that we'll get to that point,
Yeah,
but we might not get to that point.
Right,
Yeah.
but the words adoption process sort of implies that we're adopting something.
And that's not a given.
Right, and
That's
it's not,
a given.
it's not.
I want to be very upfront about that.
That's
That-
some of the example of the wording I think that needs to be
To
changed.
me, trying to approach this with a great deal of humility, there's no way I can know what's best for Guilford when it comes to land use. Really, it's a community dialogue. And so to me, this grant is simply facilitating community dialogue.
See, that's what I was reading between the lines, when, and also reflecting back on when you were here last, but I read it, and I certainly can appreciate that, and shoot, I'd love to sit down and help you do it, but, it's, to me, when I read all of that, and there were pages, and then you tied it in with a natural, there's all kinds of PDFs that accompanied it, either direct connection or related, but I read it more as about a process, not a predetermined outcome,
And that's-
based on what you were saying. And some of the notes I made was, it's community engagement funding, not regulation implementation. I think the Planning Commission has proven they can facilitate productive, non-divisive community conversations. I saw you had what I thought was a smart outreach strategy, professional facilitation. Totally agree with Mike and Tara that, yeah, if you just looking at it at the surface level, I would love to see it rewritten, but you would sort of echo that in the first time you were sitting here, and you were saying some of the same things again that I found pivotal, is that you can't put a stamp on what Guilford does, but I would like to see it, if just from and Eric would know more because you do so much more with grants, but maybe just from a legalese standpoint, and I know there is a time stamp on it, sit down and just remove the word zoning. It's pretty easy, and then come up with something else,
What is the timestamp? It says the award start date is 12/1/25 and the end is 12/31/27. What's this timestamp?
With the way the grant is, you have a certain number of days to have to go through this process of the town accepting it?
This, what we're doing right now, the grant needs to be accepted by the 24th of January so that they can move it forward in their system. It's all kind of, Jeanette and I went through, it's like you have to put all this information in like a spreadsheet cell to get it into their gears system.
And one of the challenges is that the language the state likes to use, zoning,
Yeah.
et cetera, is where our hands are tied by that. That in some ways, this is written to the people reading grant application,
Yeah,
right?
that's how I read it, yeah.
So the person writing it has to write it to the way that the grant administrators are used to reading and use the language that grant administrators are used to hearing. So people don't, they hear the word zoning, very triggering, understood. I'm not trying to advocate for zoning, I'm trying to advocate for a process where we talk about where Guilford might be vulnerable. If you read the news, there's a lot of emphasis on a housing shortage, both in Vermont and nationally. And there are initiatives at the state level to try to reduce barriers to building. And along with that, we're going to hear this on Wednesday, even some initiatives to help reduce the cost of building. So my whole thought was that there may be changes coming that could affect Guilford, and I'd like to be proactive in talking about, are there steps that Guilford would like to take to be prepared to protect Guilford? And so that's my whole concept in one sentence. And I don't know where that answer lies. The answer would be do absolutely nothing different.
That's why you have communicate.
That's why and not only that, I strongly believe that no one person can have all of the good ideas. That's my phone, apologize. So that's why we need people to come in with different ideas and different points of view and disagree and say, no, I don't like that idea. Because it's through that kind of tension and conversation that we can hopefully get to a better place.
Mm-hmm.
So when I say I'm agnostic to the outcome, I'm very sincere. That to me, the process is the important thing. And again, that budget was written to fulfill very specific needs in terms of the grant administrators, but it doesn't reflect our needs. And because we own the grant, our needs are what drive the initiative, not what's in the budget.
I think that the planning commission could have applied for a smaller grant or started to have meetings to talk about to plan development so as to maintain the historic settlement pattern of compact village and urban center separated by rural countryside. Like that's the goal, to talk about that. But with this budget, like I said, I hear that you're saying that money's allocated somewhere to reach $30,000. But to me, it looks like, okay, we're going to kick this off. We're going to have a couple meetings. Whoever can come. And then we have $23,000 to prepare draft zoning bylaws. That's a statement, and that to me is an action. That's not just some words that maybe should be changed, or prepare a zoning map. Like, to me, this reads like that's what's going to happen. And by opening this and by doing this, we are opening ourselves up to that. Even though people are going to get together and conversate about it, there's a lot of people that aren't going to be able to have a conversation about it. And then does this just pass?
There's nothing in that grant process that says that the end result has to be what that budget says.
Yeah.
There is nothing in the grant that mandates those actions take place. So I want to be clear that this can be written down, but there is no penalty to this town if we don't adopt zoning bylaws. There's no state agency going to be coming in and saying, under penalty of this, you have to achieve zoning bylaws. This is simply funding to help the process begin.
In all the planning meetings, we never ever talked about specifically the way this budget is, the wording used here, to what really to support what Jeanette's saying, that is not at all what we, at least my understanding, and I think everybody on the planning commission we were not thinking that we are therefore adopting zoning regulations here, or even coming close to that. It was simply a matter of gathering community views and collecting that together.
And when we're in this process, we do need expertise and advisors. And so part of the reason that we have a grant is to essentially be able to contract with Wyndham Regional to provide information, expertise, consultation.
I wonder if it would help to write a letter that says what our understanding of.
Well, I take full responsibility for not more carefully vetting the language of the grant. That is my, again, I explained I was busy writing the grant. Great, you do the budget, I'll do all this. So I apologize for not being more in the weeds of the details. We will have our first meeting with the Wyndham Region consultant either later this month or next month. And what I will do is come back to the select board after the one or two of our kickoff meetings within the planning commission to report back at how we're revising our workflow to more accurately reflect the intention rather than what the budget states.
But we'd have to sign on in order for you to have those meetings, we'd have to sign on first.
Right.
Okay.
So
Yeah, Sheila?
I just wanted to comment that, so I think my first experience with the town plan was 2012, and we've been talking about how to anticipate the future needs of Guilford, and while maintaining the whole rural center divide. And that's one thing. Now that's 13 years ago, so whatever, 14 years ago. And I know that these municipal planning grants are few and far between, and we finally got one, because I know that we've been trying to get one for a while. So kudos to you for getting this to this point. We are planning for the future of Guilford. It's timely. What the outcome is. It's not like you're going to sit here, or Wyndham Regional Commission is going to sit here and say you need to do this, this, and this in order to be, in order to be the town of Guilford going forward. This is a community project that's spearheaded by the Planning Commission, and I think I just applaud you for getting this and helping us move forward. And I think we should accept this grant and use it in the best way that the town can use it.
Yeah. Thank you. We're just finishing up the select board part of the conversation, but Steve, I see you.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Steve. Go ahead, Steve.
I'm the Wyndham Regional rep, right? I spent 2 years working on river corridors with consultants from Wyndham Regional. If you give Wyndham Regional, and I'm saying this to the community and everybody, if you give Wyndham Regional the opportunity to write the budget for that grant, which you did, right? You said, I'll do the pros, you do the budget. Wyndham Regional will do exactly what you got. And I remember this grant, it's all about eventually establishing the adoption of zoning bylaws, because we went through it, and I remember saying, is it true that after this is all done, the town is under no obligation to do anything? And you said, and others said, that's true. So I think you could rewrite this. You know what you want to have come out of this, which is a community gathering of exploring the problem as it is, looking to the future, and not necessarily talking about the fact that Guilford doesn't have any zoning. It's to say there's a lot of things coming up, whether it's river corridors or something else. The town of Guilford needs to be prepared for these future issues, and we need to start some community discussions now about the future. And if the first $2,000 is consultants to set up to pose the problem and to do a mailing and invite people to come, that you could rewrite it, just rewrite the budget. You don't have to put $23,000 for that. Split it up to say, consideration with Planning Commission, Conservation Commission, and others to review this. And maybe you got the grant for 30,000. Do I understand it? So just rewrite it so that it's all about presenting the problem, working through the problem, bringing in as many people as you can, as many community meetings as you can. Those are expensive to do. You can eat up that $23,000 without adopting anything. And when you're all done, you can say, at that point, we're reserving $10,000 in this in the event that it gets to a point of wanting, that the town wants to truly adopt these. You can have a slush fund left at the end for the final result. Because at some point
you're restating what Brian's asking. Do you have a flow? I think you're restating.
Right. Just take the budget and write it to the flow.
That, to me, the budget was written the way it was because that's what Wyndham Regional does.
And there's no penalty for not following the budget.
Right, and we don't have to spend all $30,000.
Exactly.
So, to me, the grant simply facilitates being able to really dive into a process and having experts from Wyndham Regional be able to consult in terms of answering the questions about what is an overlay district, et cetera, kind of helping us get the grounding of information we need to be able to have good discussions. But we learned a lot from having Megmont as a moderator for that event. And so, to me, that would be my ideal, was not necessarily to use Wyndham Regional exclusively as our consultants for this process, but cast a wider net to involve people.
Ellie?
Having written a planning grant and gotten one for CC4G Community Collaborative for Guilford, getting a planning grant in terms of the eyes of the state is really, if there is going to be a project that's going to come out of your planning, it is the first step to have the state recognize you're serious about whatever the project is, and having the next step accessible to you, which could be more money. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I'm not saying you should or shouldn't, or the select board should or shouldn't vote for this, but I'm just saying it's as often as it's an important step into getting to the next step, whatever that is, whatever the community decides.
I think that the key phrase is the community decides. That this, not at all intended for the planning commission to come in and say, we want this. It's more helping the planning commission engage with the community. We did that with the strategic planning process. One of the concrete outgrowths of that process is the Guilford Guide. So we have track record with being in front of the community.
And we had,
I have one more thing to say.
Just a second, Mike was starting to speak and then.
Okay.
with a 30-day notice, we can stop this at any point. Is that my understanding correct?
Erica.
I think I read that here somewhere.
That I don't know, sorry.
I think it said that you 30-day notice, either party can cease this.
I think just one, I'm sorry, Tara.
Go ahead.
One comment
That's okay.
that Mike made the last time this came up was that if we don't accept the grant, then we are cutting off the possibility of having a conversation in town.
Right.
So if we proceed with accepting the grant, we are permitting or acknowledging that we want to facilitating a conversation. And sincerely mean it that I do not have an attachment to a specific outcome because I don't personally know what's best. But I hope that by getting many voices on the table to talk, we can have a consensus.
Right. The only reason I brought up 30 days was if we were going through these steps laid out in this budget and we saw that we, for whatever reason, didn't like how this was going, we could stop it at 30 days, with 30 days notice. we don't necessarily, I think what Steve was saying too, we don't have to spend the $40,000.
30.
We don't have to do.
30.
30, I'm sorry. And we don't have to go through all the steps. We can stop if we choose.
Okay, I just want to give Tara a chance to say what.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tara.
So, Jeanette, you're talking about like you want to bring in Wyndham Regional so we can have these conversations. I think we could have had these conversations without this grant. It is 30,000. We've got to match 3,000. So it's we could have had.
There's no match.
Oh, it's not 10%.
No.
Okay. Sorry. I still think that we could have had the conversations without, like Steve said, he knows how they write them. It's bottom heavy in creating bylaws, zoning bylaws, preparing the zoning map, $23,000 towards adopting zoning. And we're going to have some conversations before. Well, Guilford has been hundreds of years without having zoning or bylaws, and it's not advantageous to me to bring Wyndham Regional in, because often when you get the state involved, there's oversight. When you get experts involved, there's this oversight. We have Act 250. If the Planning Commission wants to do additional projects, let's have a conversation about it, because if this goes through and there's like stakeholders involved, and not the whole town doesn't get to have a decision on this, and we get zoning and bylaws, this affects the entire town, all business owners, all landowners, just for the few that want to build something. So I feel like we didn't have a lot of information, and I feel like it's a real dangerous thing. That's how I feel.
Thank you, Tara. Sheila?
I just want to say that I think that is, Tara's point of view is one that would be raised in these community conversations, and that it is not, the point of accepting the grant is not to also approve have the entire conversation. It is to be able to launch these conversations and with the whole community in different venues, and I think we should just call the question.
Well, I haven't really spoken about it. I think the value of having Wyndham Regional involved is that we need technical assistance, and I'm not talking about technical assistance to get to an outcome. I mean technical assistance in terms of information sharing beyond the scope of what all of us can come up with. I mean, Wyndham Regional, aside from the way they write grants, has been providing essential assistance to the town of Guilford for as long as I can remember. I remember Harry Evans coming, standing up at town meeting and talking about the value of Wyndham Regional Commission to our town. And I feel as if, I guess there are two parts of this for me, and I understand, Tara, the passion that you're bringing to this, and I mean that positively, not negatively. And I know I've participated in so much of the town's heartache that comes up with the word zoning. What I'm feeling about now is that we have a lot of agency as a town to take what we want and refuse what we don't want. We can take technical assistance from people at Wyndham Regional to provide for us what we can't create ourselves. And I guess the other part of it for me is trust in this particular planning commission, that the culture of this planning commission is really receptivity and diligence, those two things together. And so I didn't when I first got this document, I thought, this is not what I had in mind.
No.
But in listening to the conversation that we've had here, I feel as if my respect for Wyndham Regional and my respect for our planning commission gives me personally the trust to advocate accepting this grant. And each one of us is welcome to follow our own conscience. I'm not telling anybody else that they should trust what they don't trust in this process. But we have put in our time in discussing it, and I'd like to think that we can vote on it. So that given, Chip, how do you vote?
Kyle's got some names.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thanks, Kyle. I'm sorry. I just
That's all right. I like to listen.
speak up.
Seems like, Kyle, replied. It seems like just a simple going around the table. There's a common factor here of the terminology of people weren't aware of the exact wording in that contract, and to simply fix it, I think would be to reevaluate the contract within the next week, get the wording correct, get rid of the term adoption. From a legal standpoint, you're bound by it with the contract and the grant. Come back to the table, next select board meeting, vote on it. It's not that simple.
No, the timeline will have passed.
Well, I think just again sitting in the middle here, just looking at it from, just seems a couple of people are uncomfortable with the terminology, and then so passing this and to get the process started, then you're bound by that grant and contract with that terminology, and you can't backtrack. So.
Thank you, Kyle.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kyle.
Again, there's, just to reiterate that there's nothing in the grant that binds us to say we have to adopt it. So, but again, I'll stand by my suggestion to have a couple of meetings with our Wyndham Regional consultant, rework the budget to be more appropriately reflect what our intentions are. And I take this again.
And you can get a letter to the state about attaching to the grant that states this.
So let's figure out what's what.
Okay,
Anyway.
Chip?
Yeah.
So let me ask Steve a question, because I've worked on grants with him as well, and especially since you're on the WRC. So what you said hit home. It's basically a contract that we would be signing as defined as it is right now in the language of the grant, which when I first looked at it, it probably went on the side of too much, just went back and looked at what we talked about beforehand and probably had, gave that not more credence, but more of a value than what was here presented. And, I didn't realize until he started talking that, legally, basically you're creating a guideline, correct? So essentially if it doesn't get changed, then everything has to adhere to what's in the language of that grant based on your experience?
Did they accept the grant based on the budget that you just read off? Is that?
Yes.
This whole
Yes.
document has been supported to that, right? So I think you need to send a letter of amendment to say that we still believe in the amount. However, the select board, in taking this in multiple steps to get to a point where the town would be even able to consider an adoption of these things. This is our goal, is to get the town to open up to discussion and about a problem that has been very, very emotional and over the years. So our goal is to start a conversation that will probably take this amount of money to get, Wyndham Region has the expertise to provide documentation of other towns with zoning, without a lot of issues, in the presentation to the communities. Here's this person talking about this, what they did and how this happened. So, and they could do a map, so some of the things that are in there, it's just that you may come to a term where you can't go any farther. You've presented the whole concept to people, and still 100% of the people say no.
Yeah, so I think.
Again, there's nothing in the grant that says that these
Right.
will be adopted.
Yeah, and I think
They
most
can't-
grants, you have to come back and just prove that you've done the work, you know, so I guess it depends on how flexible they are in this budget. But, you know, if you feel better having a letter of amendment, just say, these are the steps, these are the early steps that we're gonna take, just so you know.
So again, I'm happy, we unfortunately have a deadline. I can I'd be happy to report back to the select board with what I'm able to.
When is the deadline?
January 24th.
Can you hold a special meeting or something like that? Or?
If you want to.
Dave, did you want to say something?
I was just saying, assuming that you can't have another meeting to approve it, you gotta approve it or not approve it tonight. So if that's the truth, then approve it under the basis that an amendment to the budget be, you know, that it's
Okay.
approved, given that an amendment to the budget is accepted, or whatever wording you have to use, Jeanette.
Mhm.
And that also helps you with the communication piece, that the goals are as they're stated in the pros and not as the budget as you move forward into the public. That you have that letter of amendment, and then if they don't accept it, then you're back to square one, but at least you've covered the issues that we've been talking tonight.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the verbiage and hold a special meeting just to vote on this before January 24th.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
That means you're seconding.
I second it. Yes, I think it's a good idea. I just asked Erica that too.
Oh, yeah, Chip asked if a special meeting was possible, and I said yes.
So,
what, I will need to talk to Wyndham Regional about the budget language.
Yes.
Okay, I'll do that tomorrow.
And I will reach out to the grant administrator and ask if this is possible to change.
Okay, so
there's
There's two
And,
motions on the floor.
no, I understand that. I'm just trying to,
should you vote on the first motion then?
well, do we vote on the amendment?
Yes.
The motion to amend and plan a special meeting.
No, I understand.
Okay.
But I'm just trying to,
I think she can amend the actual motion, correct? So we are changing what we first said.
You can withdraw the original motion.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying,
and-
yes.
And then.
And
have
then
a
do
new-
this
have
one.
A new motion. The person who made the motion.
I withdraw my original motion. I
All
think I
right.
did that.
So now Tara, go ahead.
I would like to make a motion to have Jeanette amend and change the verbiage in the grants with Erica, and to hold a special meeting prior to January 24th to vote on it.
To vote on accepting
I
the
second
grant.
that.
to vote on it, okay.
Accepting the grant, yes.
And Tara, I want to make sure I really capture your concerns, and Mike as well, that the portions, because I want to make sure that when I come back to the board to present this, I've captured your concerns explicitly. So if you have, I understand about adopting bylaw, that's very clear, because we don't want to be held to that expectation. I believe there was also something about, was there something else in the budget language that you would like to see modified above and beyond the adoption language?
To put more money and time and resources into community awareness.
Okay.
So, you've got $18,000 for bylaws, and then I lost my little thing here. And then like 4,000 for zoning. I think it should really be like, let's put a lot of money and front load it into educating the community and having these talks that you want to have. And even like, if you can, you have one talk, but only 10 people can make it, have this the same or similar talk again. Like we're going to hold these 3 meetings to discuss this, because essentially the end goal in the grant is bylaws and zoning, and people need to be able to be educated about it. People need to be able to voice their opinion, and they need to be able to have a say in a vote.
I'm wondering if we can just, there's zoning's mentioned 7 times in the agreement, if we can just come up with another, not we, but if you could come up with another word besides zoning, because it's so polarizing that, and Sarah's right, you're gonna get people coming in that aren't actually even listening, so it immediately sets a precedent or an idea in somebody's head.
The phrase land use regulations gets thrown about, or technically it's zoning bylaws or bylaws by statute. So that's what statute
You
says.
could use maybe framework, you prepare a draft for land framework. I mean, there's all kinds of,
Well,
I think that
maybe.
I'm sorry. I think that there should be like, before, like in these steps, the end is bringing it to the select board and adopting bylaws and zoning. I think that in this sequence, we should have, if we get to that point and a lot of people want to do it and a lot of people don't, that we need to have like maybe a public meeting about it, like a town meeting about it, or obviously it's not going to be in an article this like coming up, but I think it's a really, really big issue.
So just to review, when it comes to adopting bylaws, the process, there's 2 ways, but the more common process is that the planning commission holds a public hearing, and then after the public hearing brings the bylaws to the select board for a vote. So another way of doing it is to have it come up for town meeting vote. But just so you know, there would never be a case where somehow these slipped in at the dead of night, that there would always be a public hearing as part of this process. But thank you for the feedback, and I agree with you that we need to put much, as you term it, front loading onto community engagement and community education, because that's more reflective of, I think, the importance of this. In some ways, the process is really important, having that dialogue.
So I just want to understand what we're proposing has to happen. So in revising the project.
So I think I think the sticking point is the language of the budget, honestly.
Yeah, the project was different.
The pros, as you put it, of the grant application I wrote, people read it and accepted it and agreed with the philosophical underpinnings.
Right.
What has been the sticking point is the language of the budget. And words like adoption, and as to Tara's point, spending little time on public engagement.
Mm-hmm.
So what I think is being asked is that the language of the budget and the emphasis of the budget be reworked.
Yes.
And just a question, does Wyndham Regional Commission have to accept the revision?
No, this was not something that was on the radar until today.
Right.
So I haven't had time to
Right.
reach out to the people at Wyndham Regional or the state to say what's even possible.
You're right,
with regard.
because I think we're creating a lot. I mean, I understand what the importance of this is in terms of community trust of the process, but the fact that we don't even know what we're asking for in terms of what's possible is concerning to me.
Well, I think I'm hearing very strongly that the language in the budget, and I agree, I looked it over and I'm like, oh, this is not what, we would want to put out there. So I appreciate the feedback of the select board saying that this is uncomfortable language, and let's investigate what we can do to change that in a way that more reflects how Guilford would like to proceed with this project.
Oh, to me, that's not the challenge. The challenge would be, I feel as if we could come up with that, but whether that would be acceptable to whether they would just say, oh, great, here is the new language, and we'll just sweep ahead with
I have
that.
no way of answering that question until I
Right.
ask.
What do you think they do?
I think it's understandable.
I think what you said, what you should vote on, you said you're gonna rewrite the budget, you're gonna rewrite the wording to see
Yeah.
if it's acceptable to the people around the table, number
Right.
one. And if it isn't, then it's done.
Right.
And because you're gonna have a special meeting to do it, hopefully everybody sees it, reads it ahead of time, so you already have that consideration. But you can still go to Wyndham Regional and say there's go, no-go points here.
That's what I was wondering,
If you get
yes.
to the point that says, if the town votes yes, they'd like to do it, then we go for creating the maps and doing the adoption and bringing the bylaws and things like that into focus and into practice. But if it's no-go at that point, then we've done our due diligence to raise the issue, get the town to a point where they've made a conscious and deliberate decision about what they want to do, not out of ignorance.
Right,
And that's where the
right.
money comes in, out of design, not default.
Yeah, perfect. Okay.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, John.
Okay. Well, it seems like, we're putting a huge burden on Jeanette and the Planning Commission.
And I've rewritten some of it already, just sitting here, so.
Okay.
I don't think it's that big of a challenge.
I appreciate the careful attention to this issue that the select board's put into it, and respect the feedback, and thank you. I think that the feedback makes for a better end product, so I appreciate the time.
Okay,
All right.
well then let's vote on this, okay? So,
Erica, could you repeat that?
Motion. Tara moved to amend the verbiage in the grant and then hold a special meeting prior to January 24th to vote on accepting the grant.
Brilliant.
okay, so amend the language in the grant,
Yes.
okay,
In the grant budget.
Budget,
grant
not the
budget.
grant. I'm not rerunning the grant.
no,
Just about.
okay. And so everybody understands what the motion is.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, how do you vote,
I
Sheila?
vote aye.
Okay, Mike,
Aye.
Aye.
Tara,
Aye.
and I will vote aye.
Thank you all.
Cool.
Good feedback.
Good
I appreciate it.
conversation.
Thank you.
And Chip will assist you.
I could, yeah. Actually.
But only 10 pages, not 3.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Okay, well. Okay, now we're moving into the next action item, which is the reserve fund policy update. And so now we need to turn our minds from the municipal planning grant to the reserve fund policy update. And I wondered whether, Sheila, if you would feel comfortable and prepared to summarize the main changes and the rationale around it. Is that something that
I hadn't thought about it, but yeah, so we have worked on this policy for several months since the revenue shortfall issue was discovered and understood in the summer. This policy is being revised to clarify the amount, how we figure out the balance of the reserve fund. What should be in the balance of, what should the balance of the reserve fund be? What numbers do we use? So the balance of the reserve fund is maintained using surplus funds equaling revenue less expenditures as available at a level of not less than 5% and not more than 20% of the total operating expenditures of the general fund and the highway fund for the fiscal year for which calculations pertain. So I just say that normally the reserve fund transfer in or out is figured at the end of concluding the fiscal year audit, but it reflects back on but it's executed in the next fiscal year, but it's reflecting in the prior fiscal year. I know that's really confusing. It does, so these calculations do not include transfers to other entities for which funds are approved by voters, such as the Guilford Volunteer Fire Department. We need to put a word in there. Fire Department. And social service agencies, and not the municipal or highway operating expenses, and are not municipal or highway operating expenses. So we're talking about funds for emergency use to alleviate short-term budgetary issues such as revenue shortfalls and paying non-recurring and unanticipated general and highway debts. These monies are not used for capital, for capital projects, blah, blah, blah. So it's basically, the fund was created in 2013. This policy clarifies the formula which is used to calculate the fund balance requirements. And it has been approved by our attorneys and by our professional audit firm, and we have looked at it for months now.
Yep.
Okay.
I think one other thing I might say is that we emphasize that if the fund falls short of the 5% minimum, that the select board commits to creating a plan for how to bring it back to its mandated balance.
Okay.
That's not new.
No.
It's not new. I just wanted to
Part of it, yeah.
Okay, well, I just felt that we needed an explanation before we put it on the table, but I'd like to move that we adopt the reserve fund policy update. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, is there further conversation about this? Okay, then let's vote. Okay, Tara,
Aye.
Chip,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Sheila,
Aye.
and I say aye. Okay, so do we have any other business?
No, mercifully.
That's right, is there any? Oh, it's 9 o'clock.
Yeah,
How
what's
about
on?
that? There are still 2 cookies there. Okay, so did I ask about correspondence?
Not yet.
Oh,
Please
so
don't
there
have
be no
any
correspondence.
No. Nothing for you that I will give to you.
Oh, okay, so then we'll be moving on to actions taken. And I really want to commend everybody, even the people who left, on the quality of conversation that has gone into this. But anyway, okay, so actions taken, we approved the minutes, we approved the warrants, we approved the 2026 highway mileage certificate. We approved the action fund policy update. Actions to be taken is to...
Wait, you missed something.
What did I miss?
There was a vote to wait on the
Oh, we actually voted to wait on that. I'm sorry.
planning grant.
Yes, thank you so much, Erica. Yes, we voted to wait on revision to the language of the budget of the planning grant. So we did do that. So actions to be taken, short term, the actions to be taken will be to hold a special meeting to hear about the update of the municipal planning grant And then there were other things that were more abstract that,
Public
about,
hearing on the costs of
yes,
public information requests.
about putting out more information beyond Guilford, about policy, about record requests. So, yeah. Okay, and so we have done all that, and we've made that plan. And so, how about a motion for adjournment?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Okay. And so we will now vote. Tara?
Aye.
Okay, Chip?
Aye.
Okay, Mike?
I,
Sheila?
Hi.
Aye. And so Dave, do you agree?
Aye.
Jeanette? Okay. Let's do it. Let's adjourn.